What is the Brotherhood doing here? Did somebody, Kitty, leave the window open again?
Cease your prattling, you titanium-tinted trollop. My marauders are here to take the crossover baby, so hand it over before one of my compatriots decides to become violent.
We don't have the crossover baby. If I wanted to spend the day with somebody who could do nothing more productive than sitting around and pooping, I would let Professor Xavier out of his room.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Rollin' 20s. We are the crew that are the wielders of the Infinity Gauntlet, and Justin Bieber will be destroyed. I am Jeremy.
Steve.
V.
Remember, you can subscribe to this show and several others in the MSP library at missionstarpodcast.com. This show can be subscribed to on iTunes and on Stitcher. You can like us on Facebook under Mission Star Podcast. You can also subscribe to the show on Twitter at rolling_20s. The music we've chosen again is by Machinae Supremacy. You can find most of their discography for free at machinaesupremacy.com. You can download their latest albums on Facebook. At the beginning of the show, I found a new video by an old friend at Floating Hand Studios. This one is a spoof of the beginning of the Messiah Complex, the big X-Men crossover. You'll really get into it when you hear it. How are you guys doing?
Oh, not too bad.
Okay.
Actually, a really good day today.
Cool. Just a second, I almost forgot. You can send me any fan mail, suggestions for the show, or hate mail at mspfreight@yahoo.com. Wait, you had a good day? Who did you kill?
Yep. If I told you, I'd have to kill you.
That explains
And
the
she
white van
says it so
outside.
eagerly.
I know. Just without hesitation, the black one is dead.
Well, you know, it's rule of movies, right?
It,
Or at least of the 80s movies.
Unfortunately, yeah. Yeah, I guess I am on the fence. I had kind of an interesting weekend last weekend because I had to go to Little Tokyo to show somebody around. And I was walking by a shop on First Street down in Los Angeles, and in the window I noticed this laser disc of Devil Hunter Yoko 3 standing in the window.
No way.
Yeah, and I'm staring at it. It's like 1850, and I'm so tempted. And, the nerd in me is going, that's awesome. And I look down and to the right, and there's a bunch of little boxes I recognize as 8-track cassettes, all in Japanese, and the sign says free. And the black man in me says, nigga, that's my shit! And my 3 kids and one other guy are staring at me just saying, you want to go in there, don't you? Yeah, but I can't.
Oh, I still have your Laserdisc player.
I know.
Oh, man. My dad's
Well,
so
you have
embarrassed.
one of them. The other one is actually being held onto by my in-laws right now.
Oh, that's true.
But, yeah, I still have that. That's so... It was so weird to just see that, especially 8 tracks. And I'm sitting there going, I gotta get all those. I don't have an 8-track player, but I gotta get all those. Oh, man. Genes are funny. This week we're going to talk about the Buffy the Vampire Slayer comic, per V's suggestion, which, oddly enough, I think 2 out of 3 people in this room have already read prior. Jesse, you've noticed, is not here. He unfortunately had work that he could not skip. When you guys start paying us to do the show, we will be around a lot more regularly, I guarantee.
Yeah, true enough.
But in the meantime, we'll get started with our usual Kickstarter Corner. A lot of the projects we've been following have come to fruition. Headlock, The Last Territory was a comic book that was being put together by Michael Kingston of New York. It was a comic about somebody trying to achieve their dream as a pro wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
And it was done as of September 13th, which was super recently. It succeeded with 466 backers, and of a goal of 16,000, they achieved $27,108. They managed to get to several of their stretch goals, including anybody that's supposed to receive a copy of the comic, or the graphic novel, I should say, is now going to receive a hardcover.
Nice.
That's cool.
It's not quite my cup of tea, but this is one of those things where I may try and look around and see if I can find a copy of it. Also finishing was Project Cosplayers Unite. That is the one we've been discussing, where 16 cosplayers from across the internet were supposed to get together at MCM Comic-Con in London for a series of group photo shoots and individual photo shoots, as well as putting together a calendar. They had 338 backers. Their goal was £30,000. The Kickstarter ended on September 8th. They ran up to £19,301.
It's more than half. It's
more than
a
half, but
third.
well short
Well,
of the
almost,
goal.
but yeah, it is.
You know, we discussed how this over half the cosplayers were already in Europe, so the airfare wouldn't have been that expensive, but maybe this project just started too large. 16 is a lot of people to drag in from all across different areas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they bit off more than they could chew.
Yeah, I mean, almost literally, if they had done this for half as many people, they would have had this in the bag. But unfortunately, yeah, this was a very big project. Not a bad one. I
No.
would have been really interested in seeing it, but it was just too many.
Honestly, they could resubmit it for less people. I mean, they know they have the interest, so...
Yeah, but they would have to reset the idea, though, because MCM Comic-Con, if I remember correctly, is in December. So that wouldn't be enough time, really, to get a Kickstarter and a list of people, let alone you would have to resubmit, and you would unfortunately have to tell half these people you're no longer required.
Yeah.
Which is... I would rather just wait an entire year, frankly, or just find another convention to go to, because that's too... Well, not insulting, but it's too disappointing to half these people that would have to be cut out. And not one of them is bad at what they do.
No, very true. But, again, reality of the situation, if they wanted it to go forward, they could strike while the iron's hot.
Yeah, they also need to advertise better. I mean, I only came across this by happenstance.
True.
And I'm supposed to be one of the people actually looking for stuff like this. We had another Kickstarter that ended just today. Standing in the Stars, a Peter Mayhew story. The Kickstarter for the documentary of the life of the man who ended up in the Chewbacca costume. It was done by Ryan Ziegler of New York, New York. At the end, it had 1,225 backers. The goal was $42,000. They ended up achieving $68,985.
Nice.
Nice. Interestingly enough, I actually saw something on MSN about the actor possibly getting his, having an operation done so that he could walk again.
Really?
Yep.
I didn't realize his physicality was in dire straits right now.
That was what surprised me. So when I ended up looking at it, I was like, I didn't realize that.
Well, obviously this had a lot of fan support, because as I'm looking through a lot of the donation rewards, a lot of them, and I mean a lot of them, sold out. The Dave Dorman print signed by Dave and Peter Mayhew all sold out. Let me see. Some kind of metallic print limited to only 10 sold out at $150. An art print at $100 sold out. Specialty art prints by James Hans sold out. They really had a lot of fan support for this. Then again, if you have fan support for a Star Wars project, that is kind of shooting fish in a barrel sometimes.
Sometimes.
Actually, it's more like dynamiting fish in a barrel. We do have another Kickstarter that's still going on. We discussed Mighty Number 9. It's a project being done by by Keiji Inafune, the director of several Mega Man games, who put together pretty much an all-star list of workers, designers, and voice actors for a new game that's supposed to be Mega Man's spiritual successor. The Kickstarter started the day after PAX, I believe PAX East. It's supposed to end on October 1st. It has 16 days to go. 37,101 backers. Had a pledge goal of $900,000 to get this game off the ground. They currently sit at $2,128,116.
Very nice.
They've already achieved stretch goals of 2 more stages, Mac and Linux versions, New Game Plus and Turbo modes, a making of documentary, Boss Rush mode. They are less than $73,000 from achieving their 2.2 million stretch goal, which is PS3, 360, and Wii U versions. Things have gone so well, they've added new stretch goals. If they can achieve $3.3 million, there will be PS4 and Xbox One versions of this game.
That's pretty amazing.
What's scary is they still have a chance to do it. This thing is literally half over, and they've gone over 2 times goal already.
As I recall, that similar thing happened for the Pathfinder game.
Maybe. The indication, though, is that right now the 3.3 is the high-end goal, but they've got room here for something else that they're hiding. Although,
Pathfinder barely made it.
Yeah, this it's almost assured that there will be a PS3, 360, and Wii U versions. But I hope that last 80,000 comes through. I would like to see this on an actual console.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Let's see. We also discussed Project Phoenix. It's a JRPG project. It was being done by veteran developers and creators from the East and West. The people behind it are Creative Intelligent Arts, or CIA Incorporated. The Kickstarter ended on September 11th. They had a goal of $100,000, and thanks to 15,802 backers, they received $1,014,600.
Yep.
You know, there is a lot of amazing money coming through for these things.
There really is. I couldn't believe I hadn't heard of it when I first got into the Pathfinder one. I was just like, wow, this is amazing, and started looking around, and it's still amazing.
Well, it says there will be a PS4 and PS Vita versions of this. So, congratulations to them. I mean, this is a big project.
Mm-hmm.
Although it makes you wonder if they can get PS4 and Vita versions for $1 million, why can't Mighty No. 9 already be on those systems? It's a question I now have. And also, we discussed before the Mysterious Cities of Gold. The video game has a Kickstarter. I believe this is already a game in France, however, this is for an English adaptation. It has 14 days to go and ends on September 29th. They have 810 backers, a goal of $30,000, and they're already at $35,306.
Wow.
So this one is coming to the U.S. That's pretty much a done deal. Although it looks like this is only for either PC or Nintendo systems. Me personally, that's disappointing. Like I said, I saw this show a lot on Nickelodeon as a kid.
Yeah.
And the last Kickstarter I have is Akiba Anime Art Magazine. We discussed this is a lot of pop culture artists who are doing, basically doing images and pictures based on Akihabara, which is kind of nerd central for Japan. Would it be safe to say it's a man-made floating island? I think it is.
Probably.
It has some of the most advanced technology in all of nerddom out there for consumer use anyway. It has 699 backers, 28 days to go, a goal of $4,500. They currently stand at $36,376. So it's not a matter of whether or not this will happen, it's just a matter of how big it will be. And they do have stretch goals up to 70,000, so they already have a plan ready to go.
Of course.
You know, some of the things we've been discussing, Mighty No. 9 and this particular project, Akiba Anime Magazine, I'm considering putting some money down just because these projects interest me. But, Steve, you said you had something I wasn't aware of?
Well, it was actually brought to my attention by my roommate. He
Which
found Jimmy.
The Roche.
Yep.
That's what Jesse said.
No, it's very true. That's his last name. What are you going to do? But he found a thing from, I believe, IGN, which was a top 9 list of upcoming MMOs, and the number 1 spot was actually taken by Pathfinder Online, which is, I mentioned earlier, something that I ended up Kickstarter backing. So I was quite impressed. I'm actually looking at the page right now. $1,091,194 out of the 1 million goal, so
Holy
it was
crap.
kind of close. But yeah, I guess the reason why they put it so far ahead was because this is a game that is planned to be primarily Kickstarter funded, and it is going to have a free-to-play aspect for it. They're still working on the details. If anybody's interested in checking it out, they have a spot on the Paizo.com forums.
It's still a crap ton of money.
Yeah. They asked for $1 million, and they got $1 million. It was quite impressive.
I'm really looking forward to it because I kicked it as well.
Oh,
So-
what level did you guys donate at?
I am finding out.
I actually told a bunch of the guys around here, and we got in at the guild level, $500.
Wow, did you guys just pool money for that, or what?
Yeah. Oh God, yes. I don't have that kind of money to throw around by myself.
I never know with you people.
I got in at the $50 level, so
I can't tell if that's cheap by comparison or not.
it's cheap by comparison. I think.
So you got the music lover?
I got the book.
Oh, okay. Oh, nice.
Okay. See, I'm learning.
Yeah, well,
But-
Pathfinder is awesome. I imagine it will translate well into a online thing.
Yeah.
Now,
I
what
keep looking at their forums and reading all the articles. It's got me pumped.
now
Of course,
Pathfinder, was that an RPG?
Yes.
It's basically D&D
Fixed.
4th edition, the way it should have been.
Ooh.
It's D&D 3.5, but fixed. Made in most of the mechanics are streamlined. Some things are added. Some classes are less broken.
Be
Yeah.
careful when you use that word fix. That's very sensitive for me.
You know what, though? Honestly, the D&D 4.0 was, in my opinion, D&D for dummies. It's
Yeah, I agree.
very sweet down, very simplified, and that's great, because if you like playing that kind of a thing, honestly, it reminded me a lot of WoW.
And it helps get new players into the game.
Exactly. But it just wasn't my cup of tea. I really enjoyed the D20 system and that kind of a thing. So when Pathfinder was brought to my attention, it got so many things right that's our new go-to game around here. We're currently running one game with Jesse, and we're about to take a break from that and go to Jimmy's game, because Jesse's like, I'm kind of tired of game mastering. I want to go to something else. So,
Yeah, that's same here. I'm in playing in a game. My only gripe with Pathfinder is that monks are still.
broken as hell. Oh god, yes.
Yeah.
I'm just to no end with my dwarven drunken master. He's awesome.
Okay. I have a feeling I have questions, but I'll leave that sit for now. We'll just go ahead and get into the regular news. Remember we discussed before the 50 Shades of Grey film?
Yep.
A little bit.
Casting has officially started in that.
Yep.
Charlie Hunnam from Sons of Anarchy and the Pacific Rim film. He's been cast as the lead role, I guess, of Christian Grey in the movie.
Yeah, there's huge blow up. I guess the fans had two favorites that they wanted, and neither of them were selected. So there's like a lot of hate flowing around on that.
I don't quite get that. They also cast Dakota Johnson to play the role of Anastasia Steele. Wow, that name is about as stereotypical as it gets when it comes to bathroom porn books.
Well, considering that it was originally a fanfic based off of Twilight, go figure.
Wait, are you serious?
No, I'm absolutely serious. The author that wrote this started off as kind of a what if kind of a thing with lots of bondage and all kinds of other stuff, but the characters were actually Bella Swan and what's his name, the vampire.
Edward? No.
Thank you. Yeah,
Oh,
it
I
was.
feel dirty now.
And
I
then
do
when
too.
she got an offer from the publishing company or whatever, then she had to go through, change all of the names and everything, and rewrite a little bit of the setting, and that's how you got 50 Shades of Grey.
Now I feel dirty.
Actually gives me hope. Because
now-
I had a fan fiction. I can turn it into something else.
I'm afraid to know if any of us are in it.
This was a long time ago.
Oh my god, the silence hurts.
I heard rumors that Emilia Clarke was to be cast in it. Daenerys Targaryen.
Well, the rumors are kind of funny because there is some kind of fan petition, like Steve said, to put two other people in these roles instead. But if there's one thing I've learned from fan petitions, they don't give a shit.
Honestly, from the articles that I was reading in like EW and stuff like that, yeah, there's really no real interest in doing anything about that. They've got the two people that they felt, I guess they had a God, and my mind is drawing blank. Anyway, they had the actor and the actress, go through and do their little roles and whatnot, and they said there was such huge chemistry, that's why they gave it to them. So
That's what you really need, the idea
as
that
far as
these
the
actors...
cast people are concerned,
Yeah.
these are their people, the rest of you can go suck it.
Yeah, and for people that say that chemistry isn't important, I kind of remember
yeah.
Hayden Christensen and Natalie Portman chewing up the scenery in Star Wars movies.
Oh God, I saw the best. It wasn't quite a hizzy, but it basically it was somebody got did a little web thing about the way he would have done episode 1 and then later on episode 2, and he's actually going to come out with episode 3 and how it should have gone. But he kind of did his own little mini script, and just talked about it and gave his reasonings and everything. And listening to episode 1 was amazing. Episode 2, he basically took the script and threw it over his shoulder and said how it should have gone. And so I have a feeling 3 is going to be just as drastic. But to be quite honest, the biggest thing I took out of that was Lucas had a little bit of a focus issue. The story shouldn't have been about Anakin Skywalker becoming Darth Vader. The story focus should have been on Obi-Wan Kenobi as the main focus.
You know what? Unless it involves a whole bunch of Gungans head on pikes, I really just don't care.
Well, that was the other thing. Jar Jar was out, so huge bonus there.
Hooray!
And he actually made a case for why are you dealing with a planet called Naboo? If you're going to blow up a planet in the 4th movie called Alderaan, maybe you might want to have it focusing on Alderaan so people actually give a shit when it gets blown up. Yeah.
Agreed.
But in any case, he had lots of neat ideas. People can look that up. I honestly don't have the link for it, unfortunately. But yeah, that was amazing.
In the meantime, Toei Japan dropped kind of an interesting piece of news way back on the 6th. Their properties of Kamen Rider and other tokusatsu programming is headed for the U.S. in an official release.
Really?
Yeah, they're going to do a new internet streaming pay channel coming actually this month. And it's offering 400,000 Japanese residents basically the programming they're used to in their home country. In about a year's time, they'll begin airing it with English subtitles even. So those people that are a fan of shows like Kamen Rider, they now have a reason to ruin their keyboards. The funny thing is, I read a story where Vin Diesel said that there is a reason why he is Groot, and it's not the reason I expected. Apparently, when Marvel talked to him, they didn't talk to him about the Tree Man originally. They talked to him about several, or at least one other character that they thought he might be good for. So he took home a couple scripts, and he took home some character art, and he was talking to his daughters. And apparently, as he was flipping through them and showed the picture of Groot to his daughter, he said, "Do you think Daddy could be that?" She looked back at him without a beat and said, "Oh yeah."
Aww, that's adorable.
Yeah, that's about my reaction. Is I can't tell if that's a put on or if that is just. I don't know if her daughter's giving him the business or not.
Well, all I can say is his Facebook updates are pretty genuine seeming.
It seems that way. Although I admit, though, when he mentioned his daughter and being married, I thought he was gay.
Really?
Yeah, I'm
I
not
didn't
saying
get
that to
the
be
gay vibe
prickish
at
or
all.
be stupid. I just thought, for some reason, I thought he came out of the closet.
No?
Huh. Well,
That's-
maybe it was just one of those rumor things that ended up taking a life of its own.
Probably.
Entirely possible.
Marvel has actually put out some news about what's going to happen post-Infinity. Believe it or not, one of the plans for that series is a new Invaders. The Invaders were a series that came out back in the 40s. It was a team of Marvel heroes that were fighting the Nazis. It was the original Human Torch, John Hammond. It was the Submariner, Captain America, Bucky, and another Human Torch-like character called Toro, who were using American power basically to kick ass among the Nazis way back when. As part of this series, most of those characters are getting back together in their modern incarnations. The original Human Torch, the Submariner, Captain America, and the Winter Soldier, who was Bucky.
That's going to be awkward.
It is going to be a little weird. I like it as a concept, but I gotta admit, I'm probably one out of every 20 people is going to know that even exists among current comic readers, I would bet.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah. So I don't quite know what to say about it. I'm interested, but I don't see it lasting long simply because unless there's serious name recognition among other people of the individuals in this book, I don't see it doing well.
I think some Captain America fans seeing him, kind of teaming back up with Bucky, now the Winter Soldier, could be, raise some interest.
Yeah.
But
It's a coin toss. I can't say how this is going to go one way or the other. And something that's going to piss off V is that the LA County Fair is going on right now through the end of the month. They have a Star Trek exhibition. They have an entire museum full of props and things to see. They have a Scorpion shuttlecraft that apparently you can get up close with. They even made a replica of the original series Star Trek Enterprise bridge.
Wow.
That people can wander through. Imagine how many pictures there are of people being stupid in the captain's chair. But on September 14th, which is today, people who are in Star Trek costumes are allowed for free.
What?
They get.
I wasted buying my Star Trek outfits.
She's going to show up on my door in this blue dress and just say, "Where is it?"
Man, if only I could afford a plane ticket.
Oh, you want to hear about the opposite end of it? This is
What?
the weirdest story I've heard in years when it comes to fandom. A couple in Long Island, New York, they did a blind auction for storage space that had lapsed. $100 they won. When they went in it, you will not believe what they found. How familiar are you guys with the James Bond film, The Spy Who Loved Me?
It's a James Bond film.
Okay, this was one. I think this was the second movie that had Jaws in it. No, actually, it was the first movie that had Jaws in it. Roger Moore, 1977.
Did you know that he lives in Mariposa?
Yes. But here's the kicker. In the movie, there was a Lotus that transformed into a submarine. That submarine was in the storage space.
That is crazy.
It's a wet submarine, which means the interior of it is filled with water, but it is a working submarine. People sat in it in wetsuits to make it run. They, the couple, of course, put it up for auction. It fetched £550,000, which I believe in
Nice.
U.S. money is close to about $600,000, if not closer to $7.
Yeah, probably.
The story as it goes out was that there was a group who bought the storage space and was touring the submarine around the country at the time the movie was new. Apparently, the management group, when they put this thing back into storage, completely forgot about it, but they prepaid it for about 30 years, so it only recently came up as delinquent.
Wow.
So this thing has literally been sitting in a tarp, fresh as a daisy all this time. And I saw a picture of it just before it went to auction. It is shined up. There are no marks on it. It looks like everyone treated this thing with kid gloves. It is in pristine condition, and it still works.
That's
amazing.
just amazing.
Yeah, talk about the ultimate collectible. I'm jealous beyond words. But I must congratulate them, because for a blind buy, that's frickin' brilliant.
Yep.
Can you imagine the look on the face of the couple that opened this up? They probably just looked at it and they didn't say, "That's James Bond's car." They probably said, "The fuck is this thing?"
Where do you go to do that stuff? Bid on
I don't
something
know.
like that?
I've been curious to stand in the background because I don't have the money to put in these types of things, and just my luck, I will put $300 down on it in a space, and I'll find out it's full of latex balloons.
Well, then you'd have a storage space.
Yeah, all clowns for miles will come to me for supplies. I will be their dealer. That's great. Hugh Jackman has said that X-Men Days of Futures Past is 3 movies in one. I'm sure he's referring to the fact that there is the imperfect future, there's the modern era that he's in the midst of, and then there's the past era that he's being thrown into. But he seems to regard this as a very ambitious project that, to him, is going to kind of break the mold. I don't quite know how that's going to go. I have high hopes, though, because First Class was such a great film.
Mm-hmm.
Although they brought back half the cast from X-Men The Last Stand, which made me hurt inside. So I have hope, but I'm trying to guard it carefully.
Mm-hmm.
My
Never
only
hope for the best.
I know. I mean, if they put Emma Frost back in the movie, I just hope they get a better actress, because January Jones, she looked like Emma Frost, but there was nothing in the mannerisms that was any fun. However, they are still working, apparently, on the X-Force movie. There's still a bit of a fan controversy about which version of this is, whether it involves Cable, Deadpool, Wolverine, none of them, all 3 of them, We don't know. But remember those posters with X's through them that showed their past and future counterparts?
No.
For Professor X and Magneto?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
They've done a third one with Wolverine. Oddly enough, he looks no different inside or outside of the X. Go figure.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah. You can almost sense the apathy.
I haven't seen the latest movies yet, so...
You should really watch First Class. You will be so happy.
Oh, I intend to.
Speaking of movies, Roberto Orsay, you guys remember that name?
No?
He's a screenwriter for the recent Star Trek films.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
He's gotten some bad press recently over a series of profanity-laced comments he pointed at Star Trek fans on the website trekmovie.com.
Okay.
Basically, people on there were saying that... well, I guess basically they were talking back and forth and talking about how much they didn't like the latest film. He tried to interject, and they just kind of leveled insults at him. He decided to respond with, quote, "You lose credibility big time when you don't honestly engage with the fucking writer of the movie asking you an honest question. You prove the cliche of shitty fans, and rude in the process. So, as Simon Pegg would say, fuck off," end quote.
Good for him.
Nice. I am on his side.
I know, there is something to be said when you're a displeased person. That's all well and good. You have every right to that. But when the person who could answer all your questions is right there and all you're going to do is insult him, he's going to respond.
Yeah. And quite frankly, if you're shocked and amazed that he used profanity, grow up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, goodness knows half the trolls on the internet will do that just to get a rise out of you, so...
Exactly. I mean, I'm sure that their insults were, abounded in profanity, so if he decided to respond in turn, you know what? I don't fault him.
Well, let me correct myself, because I said that had to do with a fan exchange. It didn't. The site apparently ran an article calling the franchise broken and noted that a lot of fans despise the sequel, which Orsay co-wrote with Alex Kurtzman and Damon Lindelof. Again, though, if the guy you're referring to is right there to answer your questions, ask him the questions. Don't be effing stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But hey, if he believes enough that he's willing to defend it, great. It's similar to me about Jim Carrey and not willing to promote Kick-Ass 2. He made a decision. That's fine by me.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't lambaste Kick-Ass 2. He just said personally, after recent events, I'm not willing to support it.
Yeah. Such is his right.
Personal opinion, and such is his right.
Rarely are opinions so gracefully marked, so when they do...
Well, in strange science news, a 6-clawed lobster was caught off Massachusetts. It's
Cool.
not what you think. It's not a spider lobster. I see a picture of this thing. Its right pincer is completely normal. Its left pincer, however, has a set of 5 claws on the end that look like serrated fingers. It's really
that
weird.
just sounds really creepy.
It's weird to look at, and as I'm staring at it, I don't quite know what to say. I don't know if this is some radioactive mutation. I don't know if this is some weird happenstance. I don't know if lobster people are getting ready to take over.
All of the above.
It's a very rare lobster. The guy that caught it, he didn't throw it back and he didn't eat it. He sold it to he donated it actually to the Maine State Aquarium.
Well, good for him.
This is creepy, and I'd like to know what caused this so we can stop it.
Well, what if it's just nature? That's probably not. It's probably
Then we're being replaced, and I hold no hope for my future. Did you guys hear the story about Batman and Captain America saving a cat?
No.
Sounds fun, though.
A cat was stuck in a house fire in West Virginia, and rushing to the rescue to get it out was Captain America and Batman. It turns out there are a couple of costume entertainers who were going to entertain children and veterans at the American Legion in Milltown, West Virginia, and a house near the event caught on fire. So
They donned the mantle. And the
Captain
powers
America
were
and
vested upon
Batman
them.
took right off into the fire, knocked down a door, and broke a window to get into the house.
Awesome.
I would bet Batman broke the window. Captain America's more of a front door man. I think I need to take that back, because now that sounds disgusting.
Well, no, that would be backdoor.
Well,
No, that would be Batman for the back door.
Yeah, front door is missionary. They apparently only made it a few feet into the front room before they were forced to retreat due to smoke, but Batman was able to pull a cat from the house to safety, and even perform CPR on it to save its life.
Wow.
Man,
Cat?
Batman is just into cat people of all kinds, isn't he?
I would do
Bonus
that.
points
I
with
would
Selena
let
Pot.
animal die.
Well, the guy dressed up as Batman, his name was John Buckland, he said, quote, "When the cat woke up, it immediately started swatting and hissing at me. It had a giant bat in its face, so I couldn't blame it," end quote.
Right?
But,
cats are really visual, so...
maybe this was Selena Kyle trained. Well, Buckland is the founder of Heroes for Hire. It's a West Virginia... Man, I've had too much ice cream. It's a West Virginia-based company, and they provide superhero characters to children events with a message that kids can be the hero for their own community. And it turns out, before he was Batman, Buckland spent nearly a decade as a firefighter in Georgia and Iraq.
Wow.
So this guy actually knew what to do.
Knew what he was doing, which is
Yeah.
good.
So, at least they weren't completely blind wandering in there, so that's good. It's a good story, and I appreciate them doing it, but there are so many stories of people who jump in and things just go wrong.
Yeah.
At least they're safe. That's all I can say. Let's see. Oh, God. Man, there's been so much hate over Sony Japan. They announced when the PS4 is being released in Japan. And believe it or not, it's coming out later in its home country than it is in the U.S.
Ooh.
If I remember correctly, the PS4 is being released in October in the U.S., if not November. They want it out here, obviously, before the holiday season really kicks in. As of September 10th, they announced the PS4 in Japan will be released February 22nd.
Oh my god. That's like 6 months.
Just about, and there is really no explanation as to why, other than they just want that American money. People will pay stupid amounts of money, buy the console, and then buy like 3 games and accessories to go with it.
Yeah, true enough. I mean, that's the same reason why we've been, the U.S. has been concentrating so much on foreign movie area, because they're willing to pay to go see movies.
Yeah. I don't know how Japan can that be one of your initial release markets. How can the U.S. get this first?
I don't know. There has to be a story behind that.
Yeah, but you can bet they're not going to say any more. All it's going to do is make things worse.
Yeah.
In the comic books, there has been a former Court of Owls assassin in D.C. named Talon. His name is Calvin, who turned on the evil organization that's been plaguing the Batman. And I don't know much about the character because I haven't had much interest in reading Talon. But in this fall, Batman and Talon are going to go head-on, which unfortunately does sound like what's become the cliche of heroes meeting each other, misunderstanding, beating the shit out of each other, then finding the villain.
But it's fun to see who will win.
Is it just me, though, or are all the big stories lately hero versus hero with a villain just snickering in the background?
I haven't paid attention, to be honest, but...
It has turned into the cliche. I'd be more surprised if they met up and just said, "Oh, right, you're not my problem."
Yeah.
Oh, by the way...
Let's see, you're not on the schedule, so hi, nice to meet you.
You don't look like the Joker. Want to shake hands?
Yeah, especially since Batman's supposed to be this, what? No, I don't have any information on you. Obviously, you're not my problem.
By the way, as a slight update, that submarine card that sold for £550,000,
Uh-huh.
the figure in U.S. dollars is $920,000.
Didn't realize the pound was that much more.
Yeah, so for $100,
Yeah.
those people made over $900,000. Probably closer to $850,000 when the
Taxes and so forth.
when the taxes and the auction charges are done. But still, that's a good
That's
investment.
still a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Congratulations to those people with absolute sincerity. I know if I did that, I would be laughing everywhere, and I'd post pictures of myself on the internet.
Right?
There was an interesting story that came out, which is kind of not exactly nerd news, but it is just one of those things big enough that I can't ignore it. There was a golf course in Wisconsin who decided to use 9/11 as a way to promote a discount.
Really?
Yeah, they posted a newspaper ad, and it's a coupon. It's an honest-to-God coupon that posted in the paper. To commemorate 9/11, on September 11th, you can get 9 holes of golf for only $9.11 per person. Or you can get 18 holes with cart for only $19.11.
You know?
Yeah, people are still not done being sore about it, so...
Well, that's the funny thing. This is a family-owned business. The golf course was Tumble Down Trails, and the owner of the place had no idea why people were so upset.
You know, I can see it from another perspective, like, honestly, especially if he was being honest, to commemorate such and such, here's the deal that I want to make.
It would be one thing if he said that some of the money was going to be donated to something associated with it, but he didn't make that implication at all. All it was a minor discount on golf.
Oh, I don't know if that's minor. I have never actually played golf myself, but I get the feeling it's a little more expensive than $9.
It's really expensive.
In places like California and Texas? Yes, we're talking Wisconsin.
It's still no. It's still expensive.
I don't know. I mean, in Detroit, Michigan, you can get a decent house that's like 4 bedrooms for $120,000.
Well, I just remember we went on a golf course all of once, and I remember it was expensive. I mean, I was like 9 at the time, so.
Well, the end of the story is they had to retract the entire deal because they were receiving a multitude of bad press and death threats.
You know, and see, that's where I sit there and go, I understand. 9/11, horrible event. Lots of people sore. You're talking about going and killing someone for... You know, this is just stupid. I'm sorry, but you people are wrong. Horribly, horribly wrong. Complain all you want to. It's your God-given right. You know, it's perfectly fine in the USA. Death threats? Really?
Well, that's the unfortunate thing about the internet. We discussed how people will find that one person who agrees with their viewpoint so much that it empowers them into believing they're absolutely correct.
Yeah,
I just have difficulty having sympathy for those people when I think about places like Iran and Iraq and just all the places that have had so much more tragedy and death than us.
Yeah.
That's just my perspective.
9/11, it was horrible. You know, I still remember Jeremy waking me up and saying, dude, this happened, and I'm just half asleep and like, what? And then woke up later on and was like, oh my God. But, you know, there comes a point in time where reactions like that are not helping the situation at all. It doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, the guy, you know, whether he was being sincere or not, you know, $9.11, whether that's expensive or not, it's his business, it's his right to do that.
Yeah, I'm in complete agreement. Let's jump off that because we're going to get into a theological debate.
So true.
Disney Movies has made kind of an aggressive move with their Marvel stuff. Ant-Man was originally supposed to open, I believe, in October of 2015, was it?
It was part of the third wave, I believe.
Yeah, here's the thing. They moved it up to July.
Really?
Yeah, they shoved it from July to July 31st from November 6th in 2015. The studio gave no reason for the move. The new date moves it away from the new James Bond film, which has been signed and is going to occur. Here's the thing, though. They feel so confident that they moved it up to a date that puts it in contention with Independence Day 2, the Man of Steel sequel, which is the Batman-Superman film, the Smurfs 3, and a new Disney film coming out. I mean, they actually just said, you know, F it. We like it. Which is kind of funny considering they haven't even started filming yet, so I can only assume that means that they read the script and just said this is a winner.
Yeah, I'm looking at the casting rumors for it. Some people I would like to see in movies are possibly up for it, such as Morena Baccarin is possibly rumored to be the Wasp.
Marina Bach. Oh, that's right. Yeah. I remember her.
Inara
She was in,
from Firefly.
Right, she was in V in Firefly. She's on Homeland right now.
Great. I wasn't aware of that.
Really? You didn't know that? I've been watching all 3 seasons of that show.
I haven't heard of it.
It's a Showtime original.
If it's not on Netflix, I probably haven't heard of it.
Oh, okay.
I haven't been keeping up with latest TV stuff.
Speaking of Marvel movies, the lady who played Kitty Pryde in The Last Stand and Days of Futures Past, Ellen Page, she's interested in doing a Shadowcat solo film.
I would watch
Could
that.
be fun.
I really liked her as that.
Well, Joss Whedon apparently has a special affinity for the character. He's mentioned that he would like to do a solo movie involving the character, which is all well and good, sounds super interesting, except for the fact that he currently works for Disney proper, while Ellen Page is contracted to Fox in their version of the X-Men. Her quote was that, "I've heard that, yeah. Well, I'm available. I love that. Kitty Pryde's awesome. I'm super grateful to be the actress who's gotten to be her. And you only desperately hope that true fans who have a right to demand what they want and who have been passionate about these stories for a really long time, that you can pull it off for them. I would be so thrilled to play Kitty Pryde again. I really would." There would be so many legal hoops to jump through, unfortunately.
Yeah, the battle is if the actor really wants to do it, they can. If they have a good agent, at least.
True. Very true. Oh, well. But in the meantime, she's starring in Queen and Country, which I believe is another comic book project. Yeah, it's written by Greg Rucka. It's centered around a British secret agent called Tara Chase, an SIS operative working in special operations. So, she's busy in geek films, it seems. Also, we talked about how Katie Sackhoff has been rumored to be up for the role of Captain Marvel in a new Disney Marvel film.
Right.
Did we talk about how she was supposed to be, or she was apparently asked about her availability during the first quarter of 2014?
No.
Yeah, apparently they have a specific window. So it sounds like when they asked her into the office, they had a very specific idea as to what they wanted her to do already.
Which means they have good plans.
Yeah, it also means all they need from her is yes. But somebody pointed out something that I was not aware of. The early part of 2014, that's when Avengers Age of Ultron is slated to be filmed.
Ooh.
So it could be either filmed at the same time, or she could actually be introduced in that film.
That could be cool.
That would be a nice addition.
It would be.
I don't even really know who that is, but...
Katie Sackhoff or Captain Marvel?
Captain Marvel. I mean, I'm peripherally aware of the character, so no need to explain, but...
Okay. All I can say is it's Marvel's kind of closest rendition right now to Wonder Woman. Their strongest female hero by probably a long shot.
Very, very powerful.
SpaceX has sent a test rocket. They're testing out a new rocket. Obviously, they're trying to get to the moon with the help of NASA. And they tested out a Grasshopper rocket. It's an experimental reusable rocket.
That's cool.
Yeah, here's the funny part. It had a crew.
Of grasshoppers?
No, that would actually make more sense than what they did. It didn't have a human, didn't have a monkey. They sent a cow into the sky.
Nice. I was not expecting to be surprised.
I know, that's not exactly what you want to hear, but apparently... test this rocket.
Aliens, you have taken many cows. Here's our offering to you. Let it fly.
Could you imagine if this thing was overpowered, made it outside orbit, and somewhere then some flying saucer just said, "I don't remember ordering takeout, you?" No, it's not actually what happened. What happened was they tested the rocket. It was unmanned. The problem was it was only a short test to figure out if they could get the rocket back. Apparently, no one warned the nearby fields of anything happening, and it caused some minor cattle stampedes.
Oh.
That's not good. I laughed.
Yeah.
That's really actually bad.
No, it's actually funnier than I think it is because, of course, cows can Cows can be stalwart in strange situations. You know, you can dump them out of the back of a Russian truck and they just stand up and stare at each other. You launch one rocket and they all go pissing each other, because apparently it's the cows who just said, "The sky gods are upset! Move! Move!"
I think it's when they don't know what the fuck's going on that they're like...
That's the odd part, is like I said, they can get dumped out of the back of a truck and just go, oh, shit, get up, get up. One missile goes in the sky, no!
Maybe it's something to do with weather. You know, like thunder and stuff.
I could not guess. I don't know what goes through the brain of a cow. And also, Hankook, the Korean tire maker, they are getting to roll out an airless tire. It's this bizarre lattice work of rubber and plastic that involves no actual air in the tire. It's a solid mass.
Huh.
And the other thing is, 95% of the tire's materials are recyclable. It's called an iFlex. It's made out of polyurethane synthetics.
Nice.
This would piss off some people because the rim and the tire are one solid unit, so those people with those weird spinners and those gigantic wagon wheel rims, those may not be useful.
That are going to buy these tires anyway.
Probably not. Yeah, I would look forward to this, because goodness knows, if you can buy these solid pieces, at least you'd be less worried about punctures.
Yeah.
With what they're made of, you know, you don't have to worry about running over a bolt or a nail or anything. Might actually save a lot of traffic in the LA and Texas areas if all of a sudden people aren't pulled over for stupid reasons. Then again, they'll find new reasons to get pulled over.
Ever the evolution continues.
Let's see. We talked about how Marvel moved, or I should say Disney moved Ant-Man, because they apparently have some good prospects as to what the movie's going to do. They apparently have similar feelings in regards to Pirates of the Caribbean 5. It was scheduled to be released on July 10th, 2015. They're now hoping for a 2016 launch.
Yeah, I think Jesse said something to me about that.
Well, Depp hasn't exactly had the best recent track record, with the most notable of that being The Lone Ranger.
Lone Ranger, yeah.
Yeah, what was that made for? I believe $125 million? No, I think that's all it pulled in was $125 million. I think it actually cost somewhere around...
a lot more.
Yeah, well, basically the offset was a $190 million write-down for Disney. You know, what can you say? It did not do what it was expected. I don't think it was marketed very well.
I haven't seen it, so...
Well, America seems to have lost interest in Westerns. I don't know the reason for that, considering it's probably the most prolific part of our individual history. But they just don't have an interest in seeing those stories. I'm sorry, what was that?
There's a few that have done well recently, or at least I thought they did well.
I haven't heard of any recent ones that have done well.
Okay, my idea of recent might be different, but...
Yeah, I heard about that recent John Wayne film. That did really well.
I was thinking the last 10 years has been like...
I think Cowboys and Aliens did pretty well.
That was a flop, if I remember correctly.
Really?
Yeah.
Everyone I know...
I don't know. I enjoyed it when I finally saw it.
I haven't seen it yet. I only heard it lost money. I just haven't run across it as of yet.
310 to Yuma.
I don't know how that did. I saw that.
It was critically hailed. I know that. I do not know how well it did.
Yeah, that's just not my wheelhouse. I
don't care for westerns.
Yeah. Kind of a weird piece of news. A blogger who was at a screening for TIFF, the Toronto International Film Festival, he called 911 because he thought he saw someone using a cell phone to record part of a movie.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious. Yeah, there are signs posted everywhere at the Toronto Film Festival that you are not allowed to use phones to record anything going on in screens, which is fair. It's not an unreasonable rule.
I mean, that's just kind of a no-brainer. Yeah, you're not supposed to phone record this, but
when he saw this guy he thought recording the screen, he called 911 to report it, who laughed at him.
Yeah, dude, go find security.
Yeah, pretty much. You know,
supposed to take care of this crap.
yeah, find someone organizing this whole thing. Find someone in charge that can actually help you determine what's going on. Because calling an emergency line, who probably has a hell of a lot of things to do at this moment.
Yeah, he's lucky they only laughed at him and didn't, fine him or arrest him.
Yeah.
I'll just leave it at that because you're right. He is absolutely lucky that something worse did not happen to him. Also, we mentioned before Missing Worlds Media. They're the ones who are doing what they call the spiritual successor to City Heroes.
Yeah, I was just looking that up yesterday.
Yeah, they were supposed to have a Kickstarter up as of September 8th. I found out recently that what happened was their application was returned and they're getting ready to resubmit it. They have not had a formal acceptance by Kickstarter yet.
Right. Yeah, so
I
it's
imagine
somewhat
that
delayed, but they did on their website post the to be approved set of backer reward levels.
Right. You wanted to hear something funny, though? I was doing some searching online trying to find out what was going on with it. I found a forum, which I thought was a fan forum, a place to discuss the upcoming game.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow, and it's not a backdoor into the forum, but I found online the dev forum. I can't post anything, and I can't seem to get outside certain web pages, but I can view a few things, and I don't quite know how I'm able to do this. I found some of the stuff they're going to offer as rewards for the Kickstarter.
Well, they posted that.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, that's what I was just talking about.
Oh, okay.
They posted their reward levels.
And what did they post?
The $5, whatever. Let me find it.
Well, what I found is that for $5 you can get desktop wallpaper.
Yep.
For $250 and $500 you can get a design of a signature character. Times 10. What is a signature character to them?
Well, that would be like...
Basically, you could design your own costume, as well as a signature weapon or...
So you get a poster of your own stuff.
No,
you could get Ghost Widow, or... I mean, obviously not those characters. The big characters, Sister Psyche, Statesman.
Yeah,
you could design
they're not
one of
be able to reuse any of those characters because
obviously.
She's just giving an example.
Okay, yeah.
So what is a donor character?
Not entirely sure.
Because for $400 you get a plan for designing a donor character.
I think that's basically they said that you could design your own NPC for story missions and so forth.
How about this? For $2,000 you get a hand-painted picture of donor character. For $15,000 you get a plan for a real-life costume version of your donor costume.
Okay, yeah, none of those made it into the actual list that they posted.
This is what they've got up.
Yeah, I know.
There's a lot of other things you would expect, costume pieces, logos, closed betas for both their chat and their character creator, webcomics. Got a host of weird stuff up here.
Yeah. Hang on. Let me find the... There it is.
Is Tron coming alive?
Why? Is there some kind of sound effect going on in the background?
There was some buzzing. It sounds like something is re-resing.
Okay. You might be catching the TV down the hall.
Are they watching Tron?
I don't think so. I can't hear what they're watching. I just know the TV's on.
Let's see. In the meantime, I'll go on.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy XI has had a very rocky history, but they did manage to stay open for a decade somehow. 10 years of that MMO. Would you ever want a Final Fantasy XI keyboard?
Nope.
I don't even play Final Fantasy. I tried it out and I couldn't stand it.
Well, it's printed in the font of the game. It's weird. It's black. It has like a blue underlighting. It has I'd say this tan font instead of white, and it has a nice little brass plate. This is Final Fantasy XI on it. Do you know how much this cost?
$311.
$275.
Oh.
Oh, it went down.
I was just guessing.
It even comes in a special embossed box. What idiot in their right mind would pay nearly $300 for a keyboard?
I don't know. Jameis paid
Not
almost that much for his WoW headset.
Are you?
It
There are
was
keyboards that
wireless
work
and
that
all that
much.
kind of stuff.
Wow,
one is-
that's beyond me.
He
That is
had the
way
money
beyond
and
me.
he did. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And we also discussed before one of my favorite series of all time, Ranma 1/2, has been rumored for Blu-rays.
Right.
I got a message from Facebook that kind of confused me, and I followed it to the Viz Anime website. They are streaming the first 4 episodes of Ranma on their website, and I noticed in the left-hand side it says the manga classic returns. See the anime in more ways than ever. Streaming, own it digitally, for the first time on Blu-ray. It's actually coming. Not only that, it looks like some of the stuff they're advertising, Inuyasha is going to be on Blu-ray eventually. So it looks like Rumiko Takahashi in the latter stages of her life is really cashing in on our properties. You know, what can I say? Good for her.
Yeah.
You know, at least she's doing it and not some company that ends up owning the rights afterwards. There is a YouTube video that I came across, too, which is kind of funny. Adam Savage from Mythbusters, he was at Dragon Con. But he wasn't just at Dragon Con. He was walking around incognito dressed up as Jack Sparrow.
Nice.
So, I'll post a link to the video. I can't believe what celebrities are just showing up at these things, you know, in disguise lately.
This definitely seems like an Adam Savage kind of thing to do.
It does. You know, that's almost one of those things I'm amazed wasn't on Mythbusters, but he probably didn't have a scientific reason to dress up as a pirate.
Either that or Jamie said no. Apparently they really hate each other.
No, they get along with each other now, but when it first started, yeah, they did not like each other very much.
Yeah. Here's an interesting thing. The actor that's playing the Green Goblin, Chris Cooper, in the Amazing Spider-Man 2, he said that better things are coming in Amazing Spider-Man 3. And some people were curious what that means. We have now heard word from 3 different actors in the movie. Chris Cooper, Paul Giamatti, who's playing the Rhino, and Jamie Foxx, who's playing Electro, that the Rhino and Electro may not be the only villains seen in Spider-Man 2.
Oh, that's scaring me.
There has been rumors already that Adrian Toomes, the Vulture, is being cast for at least one of these movies, and that the studio has high plans to put together the Sinister Six. Which version of that, I don't know, because the Sinister Six has had more than a few members. I really just hope that doesn't mean Mysterio in that fishbowl helmet. I can't see that translating well on the big screen. But
Just a bunch of villains in one film seems uncertain.
well, we've seen what happens when there are too many characters in a film. You know, The Last Stand of the X-Men film sticks out in that genre, but we've also seen that with the proper writing, anything can be done. I mean, the Avengers pulled it off.
Yeah,
True.
That's true. But
So- There's always a but. You know, you never know until the movie's actually out.
yeah,
You know, for all we know, this could be another, I don't know, Independence Day.
Okay. Well, I found that thing.
Okay.
So, $5 or more, Armchair Hero, that gets, basically, thank you. $10 or more, Construction Crew.
You don't need to name the titles, just the money and the broad strokes of the reward.
Okay. $10, perk engraves your name or proxy on the sponsors wall in their version of the Atlas Hurricane Memorial Park. $25 or more, you get your... the $5 one does give you the wallpapers. $25 or more, you get reserved global nickname, in-game rewards, Kickstarter only badge and title for heroes and villains, exclusive costume set that will never be available again, as well as a prestige travel power, $50 full copy of the game via digital download, month of VIP subscription, advanced account activation during release weekend, giving you a head start. $75, 2 months of VIP access, 2 additional months of VIP access, as well as a exclusive travel power called the Phoenix Travel Aura. $125 basically doubles the previous $75 one for 2 people, essentially. Save $50. Or $25, yeah, $25. $250. Actually, I'm going to say this one because I find it amusing. It's called Mushroom Hunting.
Okay.
But you put your mark on the map, literally. You get to create your own exploration badge on the game map. They'll work with you for the location, text, design requirements. All of these also include all the previous reward levels. So,
okay.
$500. They plan on instituting secret entrances to people's bases. So at this level, you get to use an additional set of doors only available to people that paid this money, as well as some correspondingly themed base decor. $750, which is limited to 100 people, is, I'm assuming, what they were talking about for the donor. I'm not sure, but basically you help name and design a mission NPC. $1,000, limited to 25. You get to design your own custom single weapon or prop. It will be exclusively yours to use in-game for the first year or the first 4 issues, whichever is longer, and you have the option of granting access to this signature thing to people of your choosing. $1,500, limited to 25, is basically doubles the previous. So you get to design 2 weapons or props. Same conditions. $3,000, you get to design your own custom costume texture, which includes gloves, boots, belt, pants, shirt, cape, chest logo, and mask, with also being able to design your own weapon or prop. And then $5,000, the NPC that you designed from the 750 version is actually upgraded to the owner of a major social hub, either a nightclub, training center, store, and inside that location is a base portal that is for your exclusive use. $10,000. There's two of these. The first one is Sanctum Sanctorum. You get to go to their launch party at a major convention. They pay for your badge, your room, food, but you have to pay for your own way there. Still, the convention and date, of course, is to be determined.
Right.
And $10,000, the other version, limited to 1, is called Key to the City. Your character is famous throughout the city. Everyone knows your character. Billboards celebrate or condemn your exploits. Regular news broadcasts will include your character. You get a unique base location within a major city building. Your custom logo will be used on spotlights throughout the city to signal you for special beta test missions before other people have access. So you get your own little bat symbol, for lack of a better term. Additionally, the city has erected a statue in your honor, complete with history plaque and exploration badge. And that particular one, for $10,000, might as well. Includes all previous rewards except for the other $10,000 rewards.
For $10,000, I should be sitting in the room doing design work for 3 weeks.
But yeah, so those are there, and these of course are not official because they're all subject to approval by the Kickstarter. But this is I believe what they sent in for the pending approval.
Okay. Let me see. The Superior Spider-Man is going to battle Venom in the near future. We discussed how the Venom series is coming to a close. I don't know if that's going to be final. There's some interesting indications that Peter Parker may be returning soon, which wouldn't surprise me in the least, considering there's another movie coming out next year. Or is it next year? Or no, the year after. Anyway, they just need to set up that Parker back in this thing so they don't confuse new readers that they expect to get from the movies. That's just logical. And Rainfall Films is finishing up a short film, I should say, on Wonder Woman. It's their own take. They have one of the best costumes I've ever seen. I think V's actually seen it. It's the one that looks like a bunch of leather, and she's got some kind of... We discussed we don't know the name of the dangling leather, like, strips of loincloth that's in the front.
Oh, yeah.
I want to see what this thing looks like moving. I'd like to see someone dressed up live as this, because this is just an incredible design work. But the actress in it is Relia Vanderbilt. Rainfall's completed filming the short. In a press release on August 29th, they did a thank you to the fans. They apparently announced this short at Comic-Con. They've pushed the release to September. So it could be any day now that this will be out for somebody to look at. I look forward to it. And Warner Brothers chief, Kevin Tsujihara, he said that Ben Affleck as Batman isn't the last DC Comics surprise. He wasn't more specific than that. I'm really hoping he didn't mean the rumor that we've recently heard that Justin Bieber may be cast as Robin. If that's your new surprise, you can take that boy and shove him clean up your ass after you turn him sideways.
There's no way. From what I've heard, that was actually something posted by a comic.
It may be a Funny or Die thing because it's, like I said, it's rumor. Nobody could find any confirmation one way or the other when it came out.
Pretty sure Bieber's denied it now.
Yeah, I mean, the best thing I could put up when I first heard it was that if it is true DC Comics, fuck you. That is literally all I could say. And one of my comic book reading friends pointed out, the script he held up, that was from The Dark Knight Rises, where Robin was a girl. Do you think this could be at all true? And I told him, Justin Bieber is a girl? Yeah, that could be true.
That was actually one of the comments that somebody posted was, oh, so they're finally going with a female Robin.
DC's loss has been Marvel's gain. Kevin McGuire was fired from Justice League 3000 before the book even came out. He's already signed up to write Guardians of the Galaxy issue 10, which is coming out in December. That didn't take long.
No, it didn't.
You know, DC and their creators, I don't know what they're doing, but they have created such a goddamn mess. We discussed before how Batwoman as a gay character is not allowed to get married. Meanwhile, they want fans the availability to, or have the ability to draw Harley Quinn naked in a bathtub getting ready to commit suicide. Well, DC's had to backtrack on that one a bit. They've officially apologized for that talent search. I don't believe they plan on pulling it, but they had a lot of backlash, and I'm not sure it's for the right reasons. Turns out that there was a group who criticized them for sexualizing suicide, as they put it. I don't think that's the issue here.
Yeah, I was going to make a comment, but I'm not sure I'm actually allowed to say anything, so I won't.
Well, let me put it this way. Everything they said made it seem like that Harley Quinn was breaking the fourth wall, Deadpool style, and the whole thing was just kind of a farce of itself, which I understand and I get. But at the same time, when you have this character who's not supposed to be necessarily about sexualization, and you put her in a very sexual innuendo type of situation, while your most prominent gay character can't get married, the fuck is wrong with you people?
Right?
You know, I'm sorry, but yeah, suicide is a bad thing, but that's really not what the issue is here.
Yeah.
It's more like old men running comic books meant for teenagers. Days of Futures Past may be the end of Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. Not because he's done anything wrong, necessarily, but just because time is marching on. And
apparently he got really injured on the set this last time.
His future is kind of unknown because he hasn't been signed for any additional movies as a character. That's not to say they're not interested, but yeah, he has to keep a very intense physical workout and diet regimen to keep this up. It's apparently a diet that's starting to be passed around to other stars who are looking to do physically demanding roles. One where you have to be so ripped you could, grate cheese on the damn stomach. But apparently 3 weeks before the end of shooting, he came back on set, and that's when he went, who knows, maybe there's no more Wolverine. Maybe this is it. So I really made the most of those last few weeks. I enjoyed every time I put the claws on. I nicked everything off the set. In other words, he stole half of his costume stuff. So It says, so Halloween, come to me and I'll hook you up. I keep saying it's like 2 movies in one.
There's kids.
Yeah, there's part of me that wants to say that's a dick move, then there's the other part that just says, that's the best thing you could possibly do.
I can just see his kids walking around with the Wolverine claws.
Oh, God, What happened to the sink? Sorry, Dad. I really hope they bring him back for X-Force if they go with that character. As much as I'm not a fan of Wolverine, Hugh Jackman does really good work as a character.
Yeah.
I agree. Speaking as the female person here, I really agree.
I know what your vagina says about him.
Mostly just as Wolverine. Otherwise, I'm less enthused.
Oh, okay. Mark Miller, we've discussed him as a creator. He's a guy that's writing Kick-Ass and doing several other things. He has his own Millerverse, and apparently he's building to the point where he's actually got a decent selection of books. He's got something new coming up called MPH, which is the most interesting take on super speed I've read. And this is a completely original thing for him, although he apparently had the idea back when he was writing The Flash for DC. The storyline, which may spin out of the final few pages of Kick-Ass 3, it's a 6-issue miniseries launching in February through Image Comics that follows 4 college-age teenagers who chance upon an illegal street drug that gives them the power to move at light speed for 7 days. He's describing it as the Fast and the Furious without cars, which may cut the story in half, technically. But according to him, it's completely way new wow. I need more ice cream. It's a completely new way of doing super speed in comics, and just on that description, I'm curious.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of several low-grade hoods with super speed, that could actually be a more interesting story than you give it credit, because there will be those that, of course, want to break shit and steal everything, but when you actually have the ability to turn things around in your life, can you?
Will you?
It's just one of those people questions,
Yeah. It definitely piques my interest.
Well, going back to the Batman casting, Ben Affleck, his Batman is being described as tired and weary. Without getting any further into the story, I'm already tired of tired and weary Batman, the guy who took 7 years off. Or was it 8? The fuck ever. Christian Bale's Batman was already tired and weary. I don't need a continuation of that.
Yeah.
I am not a Batman fan, but the best Batman has been the Batman that have been sharp and willing and just going gung-ho, balls out, trying to stop bad guys. Tired and weary ones are the ones that I just really want to see euthanized. You guys can disagree with me all you want. My opinion is not the final one.
I do agree. I don't want to see unless we're talking like Batman Beyond. In that case, you know what? A tired and weary Bruce Wayne, passing the torch on to somebody else.
Well, yeah, but that guy was like 90.
I just think if someone else is going to play Batman, it should be someone significantly different. And tired and weary doesn't sound too different, so.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Actually, in other casting news, Chris Hemsworth was asked about the Avengers Age of Ultron recently. He had the most honest answer I've ever heard. He had no idea who Ultron was.
Nice.
He was talking about the word that James Spader was cast as Ultron, and his quote was, "He's great, he's awesome. I haven't met him yet, but it's funny because the whole Avengers thing is starting to come up in conversations. I'm like, God, I still have another film to shoot, and Thor 2 hasn't come out yet. The script for the Avengers 2 isn't even done yet, but I know Joss Whedon is writing away." And when he was asked about Ultron and what the character was, he said, quote, "I haven't had to look into it and understand it yet. With all honesty, I have no idea," end quote.
There you go.
You know what? Power to you.
Probably shouldn't.
Yeah.
As far as making his acting more believable.
He's not bullshitting us. If he doesn't know, he doesn't know. I can appreciate that honesty. I really can. And Disney has said that there will be Star Wars spin-offs that will be origin stories. I don't know, sir.
I have to admit, I do like origin stories, but if they don't do them well, they could...
I like origin stories, but, do we need the origin stories of some of these characters anymore?
What about about Han Solo?
He's about the only one that's a complete mystery. We have an idea where Leia came from. We know exactly where Luke came from. Any subsequent stories, we're pretty much going to know where those characters come from.
I would actually like to see Han's story because,
me too.
he originally started out as an Imperial recruit, as an Imperial cadet. And, that's where he eventually met Chewbacca and whatnot. I could see that as being a really good story.
That sounds like a good story. It's just the rest I don't know about. If you're going to do spin-offs, it sounds like you should do spin-offs and have a bunch of original character stories.
Yeah. Well, what if they just did? What if they did do that, like Han? That would actually, okay, I would watch that.
The guy's debating who gets to give the Emperor a bath.
But if they did Han Solo and then like a couple of minor characters or new characters, could be interesting.
And that gives us the advantage.
They'll probably do a Chewie one.
That's going to be a whole lot of growling and, I don't know, flea and tick baths.
Yeah. Subtitles throughout the entire thing.
Can you imagine some old 80-year-old guy sitting in the film? I didn't know this was some French piece of crap. How about this? Did you know that one of the stars of Glee is switching sides?
Yeah.
What?
Grant Gustin, who plays the villain in the TV series Glee, the one where they sing, he's now been cast as Barry Allen in the Arrow TV series. Barry Allen is the name of the Flash.
The Flash, right.
Yes. So, when they're talking about this new Flash TV series coming out, he is the man.
Interesting.
Okay.
I don't know much about him because I have not watched a single episode of Glee. For those of you that enjoy it as you please. It has never caught my attention.
I like Glee, but not for the plot, so...
So you like it for the same reason most people like porn?
Basically.
Okay.
I have a theory that they make the characters bland, so as kind of a Twilight way of getting into their... Like, you can stand in your shoes.
I have never heard of anyone making a plan of, let's make this as boring as fucking possible.
Well, I mean... Okay, we can discuss this at some later point, but...
We're going to have words.
I'm going to leave this alone. I think I'm pissing somebody off.
No. I actually, it's not, a fantastic show or anything.
Okay. Well, how about this for movie news? Todd McFarlane is trying to get someone else behind him, basically, behind a Spawn reboot film for 2014. It's a decent idea, but it may be a bit ambitious at this point.
Yeah, it's possible. It honestly, if he gets a good script, go for it. If he doesn't get a good script, please don't.
The thing is, superhero films lately, even the good ones, have been PG-13 pretty much at the worst, and Spawn cannot be done for anything less than an R, considering what the story is.
Very true.
A man bombed, burned, and gone to hell, came back as a demon so he can find his family. There is no way to put a positive Disney spin on that, okay? Especially one that's...
Then again, sometimes I kind of wonder about the positive Disney spin. I mean, I know it's there, but some of their films are really dark, just even with the spin.
Yeah. But, I mean, if he can pull this off, I would go to theaters to see that. No, actually, I would probably wait for cable on that one, because I would have to be carefully guarded, considering what the last one was like. Then again, that was an R that was downgraded to a PG-13, so we've seen what happens.
Yeah.
And also, technology is getting into the strangest places in our lives. Did you know that those guys who run around ballparks yelling, get your hot dog here, may be a thing of the past?
I wasn't even aware of them, so...
I know they exist. I've never actually been to any ball game, so yeah.
Well,
yeah, I do remember them now.
Well, MasterCard is rolling out a digital app for cell phones called QKR. What it is instead of guys running around yelling hot dogs, get your peanuts here, fresh beer, you'll find a series of glyphs on the back of the seat in front of you. You scan it with your phone, and all you do is punch in your order, and it goes to the counter digitally, and people will bring you your food.
Badass.
Nice.
Yeah, it's you wouldn't need to bring cash. It would be an electronic transfer, but at the same time, at least you wouldn't have to worry about somebody throwing peanuts right through your skull. or somebody trying to toss a plate of nachos or handing down hot dogs like halfway across the section of the stadium.
Yeah.
You know, it's just one of those weird things where it's another sign where our lives are changing. Speaking of sports, did you remember when we talked about a story about those 4 football players who did the absolute best thing possible?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I found a story about the opposite in Pennsylvania.
Oh.
There was a scrum that happened during a high school football game in Hamburg. And the Hamburg High senior quarterback and safety, a guy named Joey Kaminsky, in the middle of the scrum, he ripped the helmet off an Anvil Cleona lineman named Josh Hartman. Ripped the helmet right off his head and then hit him in the head with it twice.
What the hell?
I don't know what caused the scrum. I don't know what happened that made him think this was viable. I mean, when you do it once, okay, maybe you're defending yourself. When you do it a second time, now you're a dick.
Yeah.
And last I heard, when this story came out the middle of the week, today is the 14th, the DA in Pennsylvania is considering filing felony charges. I think he's earned it. I mean, that is not just assault and battery. That's malicious.
Yeah.
You know, that makes Ndam Kung Su look like a goddamn Boy Scout. So, I don't know how much further to go into that. Somebody put up an article that I will post a link to about 5 things they've learned from Sci-Fi's Heroes of Cosplay TV show. I'll go through it quickly because it's a big article. Number 5, any idea for a reality TV show is viable even if you don't really know what the show is supposed to be about. Number 4, cosplaying is a viable full-time career with major earning potential. Bullshit. Number 3, Yaya Han, iron-fisted empress of Cosplay Kingdom. Number 2, cosplay is all about the booze, the ass, the craft. And number 1, cosplay is not about having fun. Boy, he really just summed up everything that's wrong with this frickin' show.
Yeah.
I almost laughed because when he said, under the section of the article where he said Yaya Han, iron-fisted empress of Cosplay Kingdom, he put up what he considered to be a side-by-side comparison of Yaya Han and her comparative equal in comic books. On the left side, it's her dressed up as Faye Valentine from Cowboy Bebop. On the left side, it's the Violator from Spawn.
Okay.
Oh, God.
Can't win for losing. And I found an article on GeekExchange.com where they did a fantasy casting for X-Force. They had some interesting choices, only half of which I'm personally aware of. They picked Stephen Lang to play Cable. If you remember him, he's the one who played the hard-charging lieutenant on Avatar.
Okay.
The movie. For Domino, they picked Gemma Arterton? I'm not familiar with her myself. Warpath, they picked Eddie Spears, who's been on, I think he's on Hell on Wheels lately. Arden Cho to play Psylocke. Lindsay Fonseca to play X-23. She's apparently been in both Kick-Ass films. I don't know in what role. Oh, actually, she played Katie.
Yeah.
She played the girlfriend. Okay. Max Thoreau to play Cannonball. Katrina Bowden to play Boom Boom. Diego Boneta to play Sunspot. Sarah Bolger as Siren. The one that really stuck out, though, that I thought was brilliant casting was Jason Isaacs, the guy who played the villain in the Mel Gibson movie where he played a patriot.
Yeah, no, I can't think of it.
Fuck, I can't remember what it was called.
Patriot Days or something like that?
No, it was more like the something. It was a one word.
Oh, I was thinking of a different movie.
It was the one where it was the colonial U.S. It was during the Revolutionary War. It wasn't just called The Patriot, I don't think.
I thought it was. I mean, he has a movie called The Patriot.
Oh, maybe that is it. Okay. Well,
Yeah, it's
basically,
the one where, what's his name that played,
yeah, the one who played the malicious British lieutenant who was after him all the time, Jason Isaacs.
Mhm.
They picked him to play Mr. Sinister. I think that's freaking brilliant.
that works.
And, well, people are pissed at Netflix right now over Breaking Bad, believe it or not. They don't have a problem with the quality of the show. They don't have a problem with the show itself. The problem they have is that a lot of people bought a season pass for the season of the show, which is technically season 5. Because AMC split it in half as they did, what happened was Netflix is charging people for each half of the season as individual seasons. So they're trying to charge them twice to watch the show.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, one fan from Ohio is suing Apple for defining Breaking Bad's final 16 episodes as 2 separate seasons. I'm sorry, so maybe it wasn't Netflix, it was Apple. But either way, this is starting to turn into a class action because apparently there's a host of people pissed off about paying twice the money for one season.
Well, I mean, especially if you come up and you say, hey, this season is this much money, and then it's like, oh, well, sorry, they split it in half, but you know what, it's really not actually any longer or shorter than what we originally planned, but because they did that, we get to charge you twice. Yeah, I could see pissed about that.
I'm not saying they don't have a bitch. This is unfortunately one of those weird situations that could be complicated depending on how the contracts are written.
Mm-hmm.
So, we'll ditch it there. We took a suggestion from V. We read the first 5 issues of Buffy Season 8. Those that are not aware, Dark Horse Comics was given the Buffy the Vampire series properties, the TV properties, and allowed to turn into a comic book. But instead of rebooting it, restarting it, or reworking it, they literally took it as a continuation of the TV series, which was kind of an interesting stroke when they did this about 5 years ago, I think. I was a fan of the TV series. Was everyone else a fan of it?
Oh, yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Okay, I admit I didn't.
The person that's missing is the one that didn't really like it.
Yeah, I didn't watch the last 2 seasons when it moved from, I think it was UPN to the WB.
Yes. No, it moved from the WB to UPN. I know because that's when I jumped in.
Okay.
Because I didn't get the WB.
Well, I didn't watch the last 2 seasons at the time. I thought the show was getting kind of trite and complicated. But I gotta give the series a lot of credit because even though I didn't watch those last 2 seasons, I didn't feel lost when I started reading the series. There was a couple details
I remembered everybody, so that was helpful.
Yeah, there was a couple details I was missing, but they did make it pretty easy to pick up as to what the hell was going on, and I was really grateful for that.
They had references throughout, like, to not just the latest 2 seasons, but to seasons previous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was stuff I definitely remembered, although I needed a bit of a refresher on certain things. The Skinless Man. Yeah, that was a vital memory to me in the series, and that was kind of the start of the decline of my fandom, not for any particular reason other than it had been going on at that point for, 7 years?
6.
6. That's a long time for a lot of writing.
6th season is actually my favorite because it's easily the darkest.
Now, one thing I'm not aware of in reading this series, Buffy's, I guess, Scarlet Witched-up little sister, Dawn. What in the hell happened to her? Because she appears to have encountered some kind of complicated curse.
She's just a normal person throughout most of 6th and 7th season. Something about her having dated and boinked to Thrice-Wise, which is some new thing that I don't recognize unless it's a term I've forgotten. But
okay, I thought I was the only one who wasn't picking up on
I'm
that.
I'm pretty sure that's a some kind of fae creature.
Okay, I wasn't clear as to why she was a giant.
Yeah, that.
I mean, I understand it may have had to do with a sexual relationship with this Thrice-Wise thing, but at the same time, it wasn't clear to me why that would cause gigantism.
Apparently, it's something that happens, and that being when Willow came in and said, "So what happened to her?" She slept with this Thrice-Wise. It's like, well, apparently that's something that happens when you do that.
I loved how this whole thing was put together, though, because the dialogue. It did feel like it picked up right where everything left off. Yeah. The character interactions were very consistent with what I remember from the TV series.
I think what really helped was that they did say that the writer was Whedon.
Yeah, he did the script on this series. I don't think he's ever stopped working on it.
So
I almost wonder if it wasn't necessarily anything he intended for comic books. If he just had more scripts before the series was ended.
Yeah, that was my one complaint about it, was that the dialogue was very reminiscent of the show, but it almost seemed like he was taking the dialogue from a script, because I don't know why, but when I'm reading it, the conversation just kind of seemed to skip in places where I didn't remember it being that way, and it made it a little unclear, and I had to go back and read it a couple of times just to be able to figure out, oh, that's what they're talking about, or
maybe that's where the commercial went.
This, and now we're on to this, and that was my one complaint about it, was sometimes the conversations just kind of seem to skip oddly.
Yeah, maybe that's where the commercial breaks went.
I have trouble following things at all, so I thought that was just me. By things I mean comics, but
they did. I did like all the little throwbacks and little inside jokes and everything. I mean, it's the same writer. He knows exactly what he wrote previously, so he was able to bring all of that back in. And character interactions and everything were very
the one-eyed Xander and the multiple Nick Fury jokes.
Yes, all of that.
I mean, even when they introduced Amy towards the end of the first issue, that I didn't have instant recall, but that perked my ears up. I knew that name for some reason.
The same way. I was like, Amy. Nope, drawing a blank. But
yeah, but when they mentioned cheese, that I had recall, and I finally figured out what was going on here. I didn't have a whole lot of complaints because even the art was really helpful. Everybody was very reminiscent of their appearances in the show. Which had to be one of the hardest things, because you're not doing an interpretation of the character, you're doing an interpretation of actors. It's got to be a bitch.
Well, I mean, you could be say, hey, come over here and sit down. I got to draw you.
Yeah, but this was like 5 years after the show ended. I mean, by then, most of these people had aged and either gotten other jobs or gotten married or gotten fat or whatever.
Yeah, that's true. Well, not Allison Hannigan, but...
God, I still can't believe I know her personally. She probably doesn't remember me for shit, but still.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of, Geller apparently is going to be in a new series starting up.
Yeah, I saw that. I don't have great hopes about its longevity, though.
No.
She has to star opposite Robin Williams, who may be doing a lot of improv on set, and that can be kind of hard to watch if he doesn't have direction.
True.
I do have a question from the second issue. Why did Xander's head pop off?
That was when she was already in the dream.
Okay, thank God. I thought I really missed something there.
Yeah, I was actually really confused about that, too.
That was one of those skips that I was just like, okay, what happened? And then I realized after reading forward, oh, she was in a dream. Gotcha.
Yeah, I suspect the later episodes will not have as much of an issue.
Okay. One of the things I didn't like about it, though, is it had, at least in my mind, it had a complaint Steve had about comic books when somebody is Deus Ex Machina. They have way too much set up and way too many contingencies for what's going on.
Mm.
It did seem like they have a whole lot of fallback plans that is reminiscent of Batman sitting in a corner just deciding how many different ways someone could come at him.
Well, that's true, but in the last season, what are they called? Issue.
Season. Oh, okay.
We saw one of their plans falling through.
To a degree, but I mean, when you think about it, it's almost perfect because people believe that the Slayer was dead, or at least their leader was. That's almost
true,
that's very Hans Blofeld, James Bond in the '60s type of item.
Yeah, it's hard to decide if that was intentional or not, though.
Well, I don't think they intended to get her killed, but I mean, if she died, that's almost better for the actual Buffy than anything else. I guess you could say technically, whether she lived or died, it was an all-win scenario.
Mm.
Not exactly a fun one.
Well, we don't know what our overarching plans were, and I'm not sure what the deal is up with Giles.
That was a little hazy to me. It looks like he's training the Green Slayers that come up, the brand new ones.
Maybe he's with the Buffy that's dating the Immortal.
It could be. But yeah, I got the idea that, to put it in Marvel vernacular, he's the one training the recruits. Meanwhile, Buffy gets to deal with the ones that are, Avengers level quality.
That makes sense.
That, or he could just be heading up an entirely different team because they had them all over the world at that point.
It did seem so.
Plus, as I remember, at least going by the whole Buffy Angel split and so forth, Giles was with Angel the last time, so he may have just gone back to the Watcher headquarters when all of that blew over, and
I watched the Angel TV series,
up and he's like, oh.
Yeah, I watched the Angel TV series towards all the way through the end. I don't remember Giles being part of his team. It was the other one, Wesley.
Oh, you're right.
Wesley.
You're right. Yeah, so
who didn't survive.
This is true.
He died at the last episode. I actually read the continuation of the Angel TV series, which was also a comic, and he was brought back as an incorporeal ghost, just kind of annoying him.
I'm gonna have to read that now.
We keep finding new things that you just had not heard of.
Yes.
But it's kind of interesting that we picked 5 issues because it was an entire story arc in a one-off. It was kind of a great jump-in, jump-out point.
Yeah.
The resolution of the whole first story arc, where they find out that they may be at war with humanity, that was actually a nice touch.
Mm-hmm.
And it's completely logical when you think about it, because what the Slayer and her people are doing is literally forwarding like a new version of humanity. It's unintentional. It's not like they're planning a race war, but it could very easily turn into one.
Yeah.
Especially when she has an army that could, I don't know what her actual strength level is, but it's probably easily 3 times normal human.
Easily.
Somebody that just had the Slayer, change survives contact with a semi-truck. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good indicator. But, I mean, it also had the 4th issue also had another one of those weird Deus Ex Machina moments when they open the portal to try and send them through and find out what happened to Willow. The army people on the other side fire a laser into the portal because they knew it was going to open, and then they find out that bolt was reflected back to them because the Slayers are ready. It's like, holy shit, people.
Well, on the other hand,
Yeah,
I've been
I
doing that for 8 years.
I understand they've been at this for a while, but who's prepared for the laser cannon on the other side?
Well, honestly, I think that mirror was was a magical mirror meant to reflect anything. So it wasn't like it was, yes, we have something prepared for the laser that they're going to be firing. No, it's more like, if they shoot anything through as the portal opens, this will take care of it.
It just felt
Probably
a little too perfect. That would have been a moment where a little bit of disaster would have been probably the better writing, in my opinion, but that's just me.
Yeah.
That was
both ways.
Well, that was my only complaint really going through the Buffy TV series as it went, was that even though bad things happened in the character's life for the most part, things turned out awfully well.
Yeah, well, Angel was a little bit different.
Yeah, Angel was definitely where things tend to lose. Now, did I miss something when I was going through there? Because she had one high-level Slayer with her a lot of the time. I can't remember what her name was. The Japanese one, Sachi?
I think that was just one of the recruits.
Yeah, because I don't remember...
Satsu, that's her.
I'm going to have to watch Season 7 again. I haven't seen
I don't even think... Because the comment that she made when Buffy selected her to go with her was, it should be one of you guys, and all of them are like, yeah, but just make sure to... I don't even think she was actually one of the top ones. It's just, that's who Buffy picked.
Oh, I thought she was one of the ones that went through like the entire first 4 issues. Because she was the one that was there when Buffy mentioned she wanted to change her hair.
Right. So was the redhead, so was the other one.
I think she was referring to her in general. Because when looking through this, I accidentally picked up the first issue of Season 9. And Buffy had her hair just like Satsu, with the mini buns. But unless I misunderstood between issue 3 and 4, I think Satsu was the one that kissed her to wake her up.
That was my understanding as well.
Okay, so how did you arrive at that conclusion? Because I
The
was
lip
just
gloss. She woke up and said cinnamon buns.
Yeah, she screamed cinnamon buns when she woke up, and then when Satsu and she were getting ready to go through the portal, she was using Satsu's lip gloss, which she forgot to bring. And then as she was smacking her lips, she realized that it tasted like cinnamon.
Oh, that's right. See? This is why I'm glad I have you guys.
It wasn't even like... It was one of those things that was so subtle, she didn't just scream, it was you! It was just one of those cases where if you didn't...
Yeah, she was
if
just
you
like
didn't read it in the block, you might have missed it.
Yeah.
In my case, I read the whole 5 issues this morning trying to make sure I was caught up, and when I saw that, I literally went back to issue 3 and started flipping and just said, okay, wasn't crazy. Might be wrong, but I wasn't crazy.
Because I knew it couldn't have been Xander.
That would have been too obvious.
And it obviously wasn't Willow.
No.
That would have been funny. It wasn't what happened because she was talking too much about it, but that just would have been funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not to mention that, yes, Willow is a lesbian, but she does already have, her significant other.
And
so
she's never shown any interest in Buffy before, so...
Yeah.
Right.
But I mean, from what I saw from season 9, the writing stayed consistent because towards the end of the issue, I thought I was lost because it seemed like everything was in a very different place from what I remembered. At the end of it, she confronts a demon with Xander and Willow behind her. She's getting ready to fight, and what was it? The demon screams out, "We have come for you, Buffy Summers!" She puts up her hands, "To pay your student loans!"
Oh, God.
And all she does is turn around, look sideways at the ones behind her, and say, "Not a word." So, I mean, it's Dark Horse, it's an independent book, but as a fan of the TV series, I gotta say, I was really impressed.
Yeah.
And
I did like the fact that Whedon stuck around to at least do the transition. I don't know if he remained the writer throughout, but...
That I would have to do some research on, but I can't imagine him just letting go of it. He is one of those people that when he has a property, he is like a pit bull.
Yeah. Like,
You know-
he had to decline someone's fan novel for Firefly because he was like, it's my baby.
Yeah. And let alone when DC turned down his Wonder Woman script, he didn't leave it and say, "This will probably be a good idea, just give me production credits." He literally took his script and locked it up. I don't think anybody knows what it's necessarily about.
It's good for him.
You know, and I bet you somebody at DC is kicking themselves that they didn't take his script.
Yeah.
You know, but to finish off the conversation, the one-off was interesting. The 5th issue where they talked about the doppelganger that died.
Mm-hmm.
But it was depressing.
Yeah.
But that's par for the course for Buffy.
It is. It admittedly was. There was the occasional downer episode in each season, but this was just... It's one of those things that is just disappointing when halfway through you figure out what her role is, what her fate is, and then you just have to wait for the moment where she actually died.
Right.
You know, let alone there were those questions halfway through as to whether or not you were actually seeing Buffy go through the paces or whether or not this was her doppelganger on her last hours.
Yep.
You know, which was also disappointing because when you look at it, it looks like she died just before the other Slayers came in and cleaned house.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's just sad.
Yeah.
But it is still all good writing. I don't have a complaint with it. It's just my feeling on things. You know, and I got to give the artist, who I think is Paul Lee, really a tremendous amount of credit. Because unlike the TV show, which admittedly had a lot of foam monsters and everything, when all this is on the page, the characters look like the actors, and it looks like all the different monsters are actually in the same plane now. You're not looking for the latex seam in the mask and the prosthetics.
True enough. I have to admit the part in the first issue where Buffy kills the monster with the crucifix, and she makes that comment. You know, she kind of felt awkward doing that, and the other one's like, "You know nothing of Christian history, do you?" I was just like,
Well, she said
"There it
she did,
is."
but, yeah.
Well, when you think about it, Christian history to her is kind of inconsequential since there's so much more beneath it.
Yeah.
Well,
So
she
much
was
more
always
beside-
bad at history.
Which is why she has to repay her student loans. No, but I gotta thank you, V. This is actually a really interesting read. I didn't expect that. Even though I saw it before, I dropped it because of budget, and this was really kind of groovy to go through, and I think I may continue it.
Well, excellent.
What about you, Steve? Would you keep going with this stuff?
You know, I very well might. Just depends on my reading schedule.
Yeah, boy, I feel you there. And we discussed that because V made the suggestion, next week we're going to do the Firefly continuation.
Ooh. That
Which
should be fun.
probably is going to be written by Joss Whedon still.
Very, very likely.
Read that one before, but I'll have to find
Yeah.
it.
But we'll go through the same 5-issue block. Hopefully we'll get lucky as well.
I'll let Jesse know.
Yeah, but I was thinking that after that, we should probably do some more profiling. It's been a while since we've done pop cultural profiling.
True.
Yes, we should maybe... We should
Maybe
do
what?
Something different. Well, the first thing that popped into my head was Heroes, but...
Here. Ooh. The only issue I have with that, though, is a lot of their powers are similar to comic book heroes in general.
Yeah, that I was just about to say.
You know, but fortunately we have a week to think about what kind of heroes and villains' powers would be fun to talk about. One popped to mind already for me, but I'm going to hold on to that. Simply because discussing it this early in the game might leave our brains too rigid by the time we actually come to discuss it.
Right, Fair enough.
Anybody else have any suggestions or anything?
Nope, I don't think so.
Man, Steve, I really hope you're right and that Justin Bieber thing is a joke. I don't want to see him on any movie screen. I don't want to see him on any screen. I don't want to hear him sing. I don't want to see his presence.
I just honestly just can't imagine it being, that way. Although, can I say that how odd it is that, it just seems like a curse now for the Mouseketeers. It's like all the new people are either going crazy or have had bad crap happen to them. I think the only one that's really still somewhat relatively sane is one of the ones that I didn't actually realize until I read an article lately, which was Christina Aguilera.
Yeah, she managed to keep it relatively together, though she had a few low points in her career. I gotta give, Lindsay Lohan and, what's her name, Amanda Bynes credit. It seems like they're finally getting real help instead of just people kissing their ass for more money. Bieber has turned into an absolute embarrassment for two countries now. I know a Canadian woman who says that if the U.S. ever gets pissed off enough that they deport him, she will renounce her Canadian citizenship just so she can run away. Bieber's gotten into some recent trouble out here. He was rumored to have been in that white Ferrari that was speeding that nearly ran over the football players' kids.
Ooh.
But he was exonerated because the stories were just too conflicting. The police couldn't pull it apart, unfortunately. Here's the rub. Earlier last week, that same white Ferrari was seen speeding through the exclusive community that Bieber lives in, which has 30-mile-per-hour speed limits, and this car was doing 70. They pulled it over, and Bieber himself was actually behind the wheel. They asked him for his license. He didn't have one.
Ew.
He has no actual driver's license, which has caused an even bigger question because you need to have a California ID to own property in the state, and he has a mansion in that community.
We'll want to bet someone bought it for him.
I don't know. He may have it under some shell company, but still, at this point, it's causing a whole lot of interesting questions that now the police have to look into.
Well, of course, having a driver's license is different than having a California ID. So it's entirely possible that he has a California ID and just does not have a driver's license.
It could be, but either way, I would like to see the end of this story being having Bieber stuffed in a bottle, kicked by a moose back across the border. A maple syrup bottle, no less.
Aside from, Wesley Snipes' tax evasion, I can't remember the last time a celebrity got actually slapped down by the law.
Martha Stewart.
What happened?
Insider trading. Yeah, she did.
Insider trading.
Yeah, she did a year or two of actual jail time based on insider trading.
Oh, I remember that now. That was a long time ago-ish.
I still remember it because it never seems like even when these people get jail time that they have actual jail time. Even, what's his name, Bernie Madoff, he went to jail, and he is still allowed a private chef to cook his meals. The guy stole $1 billion combined from different investors, and he's allowed to have a chef in jail.
You should have to have the same jail as everybody else.
Well, that's like freaking Pol Pot. He killed millions of people. He gets house arrest for the rest of his life. Apparently, there's a point where Eddie Izzard was right. When you kill a few people, you're a goddamn psychopath. When you kill hundreds of thousands of people, somebody just says, good job, here's your villa. It's the same thing when you steal money. When you knock over a register at a Quickie Mart, you're going to jail for at least a few months. Hard general time. When you steal billions of dollars, you get your own private chef. Is that just
true?
Yeah, do we just hit a point where we just can't comprehend it, or do you just hit a point where somebody golf claps and says, "Good for you, sir"?
Yeah,
well, that's been true since the advent of social casts.
I was going to well, I thought you were going to say since the invention of money.
That too. That created the other. So.
Oh, shit. Yeah, but we've been at this for a while, so we should probably cut it here, where next week we're going to discuss the first 5 issues of the comic book continuation of Serenity. I am looking forward to this.
Me too.
After Buffy, I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah.
So I invite you to roll with us again next week. Thank you very much. I am Jeremy.
Steve.
And V.
Have a good one. I'm still stuck on V talking about how much her vagina likes Hugh Jackman. Yeah, it's almost like two separate individuals. V could just care less, but her vagina just keeps dragging her to Hugh Jackman films.
Well, I like Hugh Jackman, but only the Wolverine really does it for me.
So she likes the furry one that might kill her.
I guess I just like the angry one.